Hi guys, it's Debbie and welcome to the second part of my 2-video installment concerning disability and sexuality in media. Starting from the example of Sherlock, a successful TV series starring Benedict Cumberbatch and which is also personally one of my favourite TV shows. In my previous video I spoke about discrimination towards disabled people and in particular the excitement towards Sherlock's behaviour, completely misunderstanding the point of the show and treating serious conditions as a fun topic to gawk at. Please check it out, I'll leave the link to it in the description box below. Today instead I would like to speak about another topic which has been extremely popular since the beginning of the show back in 2010 and which has now been associated with terms such as John Locke and queerbaiting. Basically in Sherlock, the main character is extremely attached to his best friend John Watson, mainly because of his tormented past. John is equally affectionate towards Sherlock, they share a flat for most of the series, work together and spend most of their time with one another. They've also often proved that they would do absolutely anything to protect one another, including risking their own life. So although John has denied being in love with Sherlock, has had a series of girlfriends and then actually married a woman, and Sherlock seems to not be mostly interested in love except for his mysterious relationship with Irene Adler, there has been a lot of material to assume a possible romantic connection between Sherlock and John. Social media has nicknamed this possible connection with the name John Locke, from the words John and Sherlock. I assume John and Sherlock feel an extremely deep love for one another, maybe even deeper than the love for Mary, but this connection has never officially been proved. All of this has never officially been confirmed or portrayed on screen, mostly because it's not the point of the show. This then enraged the internet, which strengthened the concept of queerbaiting. Now, from what I collected from various videos and posts on this beautiful World Wide Web, queerbaiting supposedly happens when a show heavily hints at a romantic connection between two characters of the same sex, but then never brings them together. I am extremely surprised that in 2017 we are still coming up with terms like queerbaiting and we are still making distinctions between different types of love. Love is an extremely deep concept, even deeper than any of us can even begin to conceive, and the series Sherlock beautifully portrays this concept of love, not limited to the usual romantic connections. For example, it shows us love and hate between family members, repressed and denied love, take a look at Molly, the lack of love, take a look at Eurus, and so on. And then most importantly, it shows us how love is not limited to social norms. Take for example Irene Adler. She openly admits that she is a homosexual, but then doesn't even bat an eye in admitting she loves Sherlock. So the fact that we don't actually see sex, kissing, marriage, or any of the usual standard official signs of love doesn't mean it's not there. I love my friends, I love my family, I love my cat and dog, but do I have to marry them? Do I have to officially prove to somebody my love? Okay, let's be realistic. John and Sherlock's affection is very deep and they could possibly be in love, but that's not the point of the show. It is a drama crime series about investigations and murders. Of course it has a much more modern approach and it explores all a series of topics such as justice, trust, loyalty, friendship, betrayal and love. And of course it is a TV show, it has a huge fandom and it has to make money just like any other TV series or film. So what it does is feed us with bite-sized pieces of information in order to keep us watching, asking questions. It surrounds its characters in mystery to maintain our curiosity. But instead of appreciating Sherlock's modern approach, but instead of acknowledging the fact that John and Sherlock have an enviable friendship and possible love that goes beyond social norms, appreciating the fact that it is a show that questions a lot about the character's nature, instead of all of this, the world created its own personal idea of Sherlock, which is absolutely fine, but then exploded into fits of anger when it didn't match reality, it didn't match the plot. There's nothing wrong with fantasies, there's nothing wrong with imagining how the plot could evolve, but angrily demanding a different story, angrily claiming that Sherlock is gay, although it's not confirmed, is not defending LGBTQ rights. It's not making a step forward to help people belonging to that community. It is not allowing same-sex love, and any love in general, to finally be considered absolutely identical to heterosexual love. On the contrary, it's like pushing the people belonging to the LGBT community back into a dark space. They are again fitted into the different box. Their love is again considered different, unconventional. I don't know if Sherlock is gay. I don't know if John is heterosexual. I know absolutely nothing about the sexuality of Moriarty, of Mrs. Hudson, of Mycroft. And to be honest, that's not the point of the show. What I do care about in the show is that it has proved that love doesn't need a statement, that it moves beyond anything, including death. I've also wondered about John and Sherlock. Hoping and dreaming of two characters together is perfectly normal. We all do that, but that shouldn't affect the general experience of a product. Let me give you another example. Many people have fantasized about a romantic connection between Harry Potter and Draco Malfoy in the Harry Potter saga. But there haven't been that many people upset when by the end of the books or the films, there still hadn't been any actual proof of Draco and Harry having a connection. But on the contrary, people are absolutely furious about the ending of the last episode, which didn't give them what they wanted, and went on to then be annoyed about the whole series and not appreciating the product per se. There was an extremely deep analysis of the choice between friendship and family, the acceptance of other people's issues, the heartbreaking concept of grief, forgiveness even in the hardest moments. But no, people still wanted to just see Sherlock and John getting down and dirty. Just as I said in my previous video about disability, it was as if people needed to find something different, a taboo, something to then watch with fear and awe. This series has proven that films and TV shows are now free to speak about all sorts of topics. Why are we still afraid to speak about love? Why does every film or show have to justify its characters' feelings? And why in 2017 are we still not doing anything to be understanding of the LGBTQ community? And why, when finally a show that reaches millions and millions of viewers in all the world shows love just as it is, potentially a homosexual love with no explanations, why do we have to then complain and ruin everything and destroy this beautiful show? I understand that many people in the world feel that their concept of love, how they feel love, is hardly ever shown on screen, and I am also very upset by the lack of variety in the romantic connections shown in series and films. I understand that there are still huge steps that have to be taken in order to obtain rights for everybody. I understand that art is still limited and tends to portray Western standard ideas of love, but complaining about a failed imaginary romance will not change the world. Yes, talk about it, scream your anger at your Sherlock posters, but then get out there and vote. Make your voice be heard, be part of the crowds marching. Guys, we are the new generation which can go past the mistakes that have been made in the years preceding ours. It is our time to be understanding and loving, and I know that all together we can do this. Make sure to check out the first part of this 2-video installment, and I'll see you soon in a new video. Bye!